Hello, EN112 students. Congratulations that we have almost completed week 4, which is 1/4 of the course. It's not half yet, but we are getting there. Now, I decided to make this short recording for you because I want to point out 4 sources of learning and information as related to Essay 1. And then I also would like to give you some advice on how to keep the essays apart because they are piling up on top of each other for reasons that are partly beyond me, partly technical. But in any case, let's focus on Essay 1, the Kimmerer essay, because on week 5, the upcoming week, you will be asked to upload a final draft. So how can you make sure that the final draft is as best as it can be? Well, first of all, you have to go back to your assignment sheet, which can be found on week 2. And I'm going to show you that link. So week 2 has some general lectures on genres that are also helpful, especially if you don't have time to read the book. And then here is the assignment sheet. Now remember that, no, this is the help link. The assignment sheet is a genre of its own, and it's a very important genre because in an assignment sheet, most college professors and instructors, if they provide one, they explain to you in great detail what is it that they expect you to do. And it's down to all the details. If you go there, you can even see that the recommended length is also described. And most importantly, there is a checklist at the end of every assignment sheet. So this is the checklist that will be the basis of the rubric that I will be using when I'm grading your final draft. So that's very important. You have to read this, and before you upload your final draft, please be very honest with you and check if you did all these things that are described here. Now, the second source of help for you is the model essay. And most writers, including myself, I like learning from other writers who have already successfully accomplished the same assignment that I'm having. So in this case, there is another summary response essay assignment, very similar to yours, and you bet that this model essay did a good job. Well, I am not going to read the whole essay for you, but let me just point out a couple of things that you can learn from a model essay. For example, if you have trouble with titles, you can see that this writer used a 2-part title. The first part is kind of catchy and interesting. Languages may be invisible but not forgotten. The second part is more informative, reports on indigenous language preservation. So the word reports kind of suggests that this is a summary essay, will summarize an article. Now, introduction. I noticed that so many of you do not have a strong sense of what it means to introduce a topic without jumping right into the topic and then not leaving enough room for the whole essay. So if you read the introduction of this writer, you can learn a few tricks. She decided to use personal experience describing herself. I am, like most Americans, monolingual. That means I speak one and only one language, English, which is well understood everywhere and is diligently learned both by immigrants in the US and by the foreign population around the world that wishes to communicate with us. Apart from a short fling with Spanish in my high school years, I never thought about the need for learning another language because, let's face it, English is good enough for me to get by everywhere I go. Nor did I think about those US citizens who, unlike me, were not born with English and had to learn English sometimes the hard way. To make the long story short, I am taking English for granted and it never even crossed my mind that technically English is not the native language of the United States, because before colonization, the Americas were populated by Native Americans who spoke a large variety of languages. So, what a nice transition from personal experience sharing into a general point: native languages. And then here is the article introduced. Doug Abrams' 2003 article, Tribes Struggle to Keep Languages Alive, made me realize that these languages are on the brinks of extinction, and tribes and individuals try to reverse the process, but they face enormous difficulties. This sentence not only summarizes Doug Abrams' article, but it actually highlights three major points that this writer develops throughout the body paragraphs that I'm not going to read to you for saving time. I also highlighted the signal phrases that this writer uses. So every time I read this essay, I know exactly that this is a summary, because every point that is paraphrased is introduced by a phrase that signals that to me. Phrases like reports Abrams, says Abrams, etc. So that's just food for thought. There's also a wonderful outline here. While yours may not be as organized yet, but please notice that in a good outline, I don't want to read things like my response, but actually I would like you to spell out what exactly will be in your response. Otherwise, I don't think that this outline is very useful. The reference list also gives you a nice visual overview, even down to capitalization, italicization, and punctuation issues. But you should definitely use your course book or your manual. So this is the second source. Now, another source that you should find in your course is that sometimes I add a PowerPoint, and I think it was on week 3 when we were talking more about summarizing, paraphrasing, and quoting. And there is a PowerPoint embedded in here, which is your third source of information. Again, I'm not going over the whole PowerPoint. I'm just showing you how to find this. Takes a while to open, but I try to give you visual examples to show, and I use a text from your course book to show you what is not a good paraphrasing, because there's no attribution too close to the original. There is also the format for how to cite a source. So please use this PowerPoint. And last but not least, before you turn in your final draft, you should go back to your first draft. Now, that is something that I may not be able to show you right now, but if you go to your summary response essay first draft, which was on week 3, you see that I graded all of them, and not only graded them, but I also returned you a file with comments. Please make sure that you save this file under a different name, and you either print it, or if you are more technologically savvy, you can open this file, and you can also open the first file that you submitted and start making changes so that you can turn in the final draft with those changes. And last but not least, if we successfully manage to finish the workshop this week, I'll pull down the workshop for this week, and Moodle will automatically assign you to read another student's essay. So please read that essay, and there will be some feedback questions, and there will be an open-ended box for you to type in some useful comments, and that's how you will help your peer or the other student in the class to get some more feedback. So if you want to make sure that your final draft gets the best grade you can get, please use all these sources, especially the assignment sheet, the feedback from your teacher, from other students, PowerPoints, and model essays. Now, one more thing that I would like to mention is that this course is becoming more complicated in the upcoming weeks. So you uploaded your position essay now. Don't think about that for now, because this week will start. Well, first, this week you will be expected to finish your Kimmerer essay. There is a forum assignment on how you revise, and you will start working on your essay 3, the research paper. And like I said, the assignment shouldn't overlap this much, but this was the only way that we could arrange it so that you will have more time to work on the last two major assignments. The position paper is just a first draft, final draft, and you will be done. Now, how to find your topic for your essay 3. There is a link that says find your essay topic here, and you will find your name, and next to your name there is a number. So when you find that, you either click here or you click to the separate link in Moodle, and you will find a list of assignments. If, for example, if you got number 6, your topic is related to science, and the question is, what are the positive and negative effects of genetic modification of a plant or animal organism? You don't have to do much with this, except there is a library assignment for this week. So you have to copy this topic there. And also you have to start doing research and finding 2 sources that might be useful for this topic. But otherwise, you just do the chapter work and get the feedback and make sure that you turn in a wonderful final draft for the Kimmerer summary response essay. Let me also remind you that when I graded your first drafts, I call that light grading. I usually grade you on effort and completion of the exercise, but the final draft might get a lower grade because then I'm going over the rubric, and you should do that too, and I'll check how well you accomplished everything that was listed. So I hope this video will help, and keep up the good work.